The Galactic Council chamber was a place of calm and control. For centuries, leaders of 100 species gathered here, surrounded by shining crystal walls and floating banners of unity. Yet tonight, the chamber shook with nervous whispers. Something had entered their space, and no one knew what it was. The first report came from a distant border outpost. A fleet of unknown ships appeared on long-range sensors, moving with precision. They carried no council identification codes. They sent no greetings. They traveled in complete silence. Councillor Vera, a tall creature with blue skin and 6 silver eyes, rose from her seat. "Pirates," she declared. Nothing more. Bold perhaps, but nothing the Navy cannot crush. But her voice trembled. High Speaker Arthur, leader of the council, studied the hologram floating above the chamber. Dozens of ships were shown in cold light. They were massive, their designs strange and angular, built for war. Arthur leaned forward. "These are not pirates. Look at their formation, their discipline. Whoever they are, they march with purpose." Whispers grew louder. The council chamber filled with fear. Some suggested diplomacy. Others demanded the fleet be destroyed before it reached inner space. Then, without warning, the silent fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel. One colossal ship appeared at the edge of a council-controlled system. Its shadow fell across a planet below. The vessel was larger than any dreadnought the council had ever built. Its armored hull marked with strange lines and scars from ancient battles. Councillor Threx, a reptilian general, slammed his claw on the table. "That ship is a weapon. It dares to enter our heartland. We must respond." But before the council could vote, a signal came through. The chamber grew still as the transmission filled the air, at first only static. Then a voice, deep, calm and chilling. "We are humanity." The words struck like a blade. The chamber fell silent. Every councillor froze. It could not be true. Humanity was a legend, a name whispered in old records. Long ago, before the council united the stars, the humans had risen quickly, too quickly. Their fleets had spread across sectors with unmatched speed. Then suddenly they were gone, vanished. Official records claimed they had destroyed themselves in war. Others said the council had erased them in fear. No one dared speak of it. Until now, Councillor Vera's silver eyes widened. "Impossible. They were extinct," the voice returned, sharper this time. "We have returned. The council will answer." The hologram shifted. The massive ship turned, showing its full length. Weapons as long as towers lined its surface. Smaller ships drifted beside it, each large enough to rival a city. Their movements were precise, controlled, like blades waiting to strike. Admiral Serek of the council fleet spoke through the chamber's channel. His voice carried anger but also fear. "Unknown fleet, you have entered restricted space. You will stand down or be destroyed." The humans did not reply. Their ships advanced slowly, cutting across the void. Every second brought them closer. The council chamber filled with panic. Leaders shouted over one another. Some demanded peace talks. Others screamed for the Navy to fire. The High Speaker raised his hands for silence, but even he could not calm the storm of fear. A sudden flash lit the hologram. Alien patrol craft had fired warning shots at the human fleet. Beams of plasma streaked across the black sky, striking against the hull of the colossal ship. The plasma burned bright, then faded. When the light cleared, the human vessel remained untouched. Not a single mark. The council fell silent again. The patrol craft tried once more, unleashing a barrage of fire. The human ship still did not answer. Instead, smaller craft emerged from its sides. Sleek, dark, and armed with weapons the council had never seen. They formed into attack lines, swift and silent. The patrol craft scattered in panic. Yet before they could flee, the human craft struck. In seconds, the alien ships were disabled, their engines dead. Not one was destroyed, not one crew killed. The humans had shown restraint, but also terrifying skill. Back in the chamber, the High Speaker whispered they could have annihilated them. But they chose not to, Councillor Threx hissed. "This is not mercy. It is a warning." The hologram shifted once more. The massive human ship broadcasted another message. This time the words were sharp, almost like a sentence spoken to criminals. We want the Council. Gasps filled the chamber. The human fleet advanced further into Council territory. Their warships formed a line, cutting across space like a blade drawn from a sheath. Alien fleets scrambled to respond, but already fear was spreading. No one wanted to be the first to fight the humans. The chamber lights flickered as the transmission repeated again and again. We are humanity. We have returned. We want the Council. The High Speaker's voice broke as he spoke the words everyone feared. They know us. They remember, and they are coming here. The hologram expanded, showing the humans' path. Straight toward the Council's capital world. Straight toward the chamber itself. The leaders of the galaxy sat frozen in terror as the truth became clear. Humanity had returned, and nothing could stop them. The Council chamber had fallen into chaos. The echoes of humanity's message, "We have returned. We want the Council," still rang in the air. Leaders of alien races shouted over each other, their voices sharp and filled with panic. Some demanded immediate retaliation. Others cried for surrender. Fear had shattered the unity that the chamber was meant to represent. High Speaker Arthur pounded the crystal floor with his staff.
Silence!
His voice boomed through the chamber, but even he struggled to control the storm of fear. His golden skin shimmered with sweat as he turned back to the hologram of the human fleet. The colossal ship still floated in Council space, unmoved, its smaller escorts hovering like predators circling prey. Councillor Vera rose again. Her 6 silver eyes glowed with dread. They should not exist. Our archives are clear. Humanity was destroyed in the Age of Division. They cannot be real. A voice from the shadows cut her off. They are real. Every councillor turned. Archivist Rel, the keeper of ancient records, stepped forward. His small body shook as he carried a stone tablet, older than most worlds represented in the chamber. He placed it on the central table. The tablet lit up, showing symbols burned into its surface. These records were sealed, Rel said, his voice trembling. Humanity was never destroyed. They vanished. Their fleets retreated from the galaxy after betrayal. After our betrayal, the chamber fell silent. Dozens of eyes turned toward the High Speaker. Arthur's face darkened. You speak of secrets forbidden. Be careful, Rel. But the archivist's voice grew stronger. The truth is no longer hidden. The humans have returned, and they know us. They remember what was done to them. Whispers spread like fire. Some councillors asked, what betrayal? Others already knew. Long ago, the Council had feared humanity's rise. Their power had grown too fast, their fleets too strong. So in secret, the Council had moved against them. Sabotage, assassination, blockade. Yet humanity had not broken. Instead, they had disappeared, vanishing beyond the galactic rim. Now they had come back. Councillor Threx hissed loudly, his reptilian scales rattling. Enough history. They return with fleets, not words. We must strike them down before they reach our capital. Several generals roared their agreement. They pounded claws and fists against the table, calling for war. But Councillor Vera shook her head. Did you not see? Our patrol craft fired. Their weapons did nothing. Humanity ignored them, then disabled them without effort. If they wished, they could have destroyed every ship. Do you not see the message? They are telling us we cannot win. A heavy silence fell. For the first time in centuries, the Council faced an enemy that truly frightened them. A sudden alert filled the chamber. Another hologram appeared. This one showed a new scene. An alien spy drone feeding live images from the edge of Council space. The chamber gasped. Dozens of additional human warships were emerging from slipspace. Cruisers, carriers, destroyers, all flying in perfect formation. Their engines glowed like stars as they took positions beside the colossal flagship. The fleet stretched across the void, more massive than any the Council had ever seen. One councillor whispered what all were thinking. This is not a fleet. This is an invasion. Admiral Sarek appeared again on the comms. His voice was steady, though his eyes betrayed fear. Council, I request orders. Our fleets are gathering, but morale is low. Soldiers whisper that no weapon can pierce the human's armor. If we fight, we may lose everything. The High Speaker lowered his head. Then what choice do we have? Rel, the archivist, spoke once more. Perhaps they do not want destruction. They want us. They want justice. If we talk, Councillor Threx roared, cutting him off. Talk with predators who return in silence, carrying weapons that shame every race here. Talking will not save us. But before the argument could continue, the hologram shifted. The human fleet broadcast a new image. This time not just ships, but Earth itself. The blue-green planet rotated slowly on the display, its oceans shimmering, its continents bright with lights of civilization. Gasps filled the chamber. Earth was alive. Humanity had not only survived, they had thrived. A calm human voice echoed across the chamber once more. "We are not invaders. We are not ghosts. We are humanity, and we are coming home." The chamber erupted again, but this time it was different. Councillors stared at the image of Earth with awe, with fear, with disbelief. Some cried that such beauty should not be destroyed. Others whispered that if humanity had built fleets of this size, what else had they built? High Speaker Arthur tried to stand tall, but his voice cracked. "We must prepare for negotiations. And for war. Both." Councillor Vera whispered the words that haunted every leader in the chamber. "No one is ready for this. Not our fleets, not our worlds, not even this council." The lights dimmed as the human fleet advanced once more. The image of Earth faded into darkness, replaced by rows of human warships forming into combat lines. The final words of the transmission echoed again. "We want the council." And with those words, the chamber doors slammed shut, sealing the leaders inside with their fear. The human fleet did not slow. Their warships cut through council space like silent blades, their hulls dark and unyielding. Every alien fleet in the sector rushed to intercept, but none dared open fire after seeing how easily the patrol craft had been disabled. In the council chamber, fear reached a breaking point. Dozens of alien leaders argued, their voices sharp and trembling. Some demanded surrender before the humans unleashed their full strength. Others, filled with pride and desperation, cried for battle. High Speaker Arthur raised his staff. "We must hold our line. The galaxy watches us. If we show weakness, every world will fall." But Councillor Vera shook her head. "Weakness has already been shown. Our fleets cannot stop them. If we fire, we will burn." Her words proved true faster than anyone expected. On the border of the Council's capital system, a squadron of alien cruisers received new orders. Their commander, Admiral Renak, was a proud warrior whose species valued honor above life. He watched the human flagship approach and clenched his claws. "Better to die fighting than to live as prey," he growled. Without waiting for approval, his squadron powered weapons. Dozens of energy beams lit up the void, lashing against the lead human frigate. Explosions rippled across the human ship's shields, bright enough to blind the nearby patrol craft. For a heartbeat, the chamber erupted in hope. "Look," cried Councillor Threx, "they bleed!" But as the light faded, the truth was revealed. The human frigate still drifted forward, unharmed. The energy beams had left no scars. The alien crews watched in disbelief as their weapons failed again and again. Then came silence. The humans had not fired back yet. Their warships simply adjusted formation, drifting closer, steady and patient, as though testing the courage of their enemies. Admiral Reinak's pride burned hotter than his fear. "We are warriors," he shouted to his crew. "Show them the fire of our blood." His cruisers unleashed a second barrage, this time targeting not one frigate, but the colossal human flagship itself. Every cannon roared, every missile screamed. The void filled with light, and still the human flagship endured. Its hull shimmered, absorbing the storm without flinching. This time the humans answered. A smaller craft launched from the flagship's hangar, sleek black vessels that moved faster than any council ship. They darted through the enemy formation, firing beams of white light. But they did not destroy. Each shot disabled engines, cracked shields, and silenced weapons with surgical precision. One by one, Rinak's cruisers fell dark, drifting powerless through space. Not a single crew member was killed. Not a single hull was split open. The humans had ended the fight in seconds. Without slaughter, the council chamber fell into stunned silence. High Speaker Arthur whispered, "They hold back. They could destroy us all, yet they choose not to." Councillor Threx slammed his claws down. "This is no mercy. It is humiliation. They want us to know they are stronger." The hologram shifted again. A new image filled the chamber. Human soldiers, tall, armored in dark steel, their visors glowing with pale light, appeared inside the captured alien cruisers. They moved with terrifying discipline, weapons at the ready. A voice came through, translated into every tongue in the chamber. "Your ships are ours. Your lives are spared. You will carry our message." Councillors leaned forward, their hearts frozen. The human soldier continued, "We seek the council. We will not ask again." The image cut to Admiral Reinach himself. He was on his knees, his claws bound by energy restraints, guarded by two human soldiers. His defiance was gone. His voice shook as he spoke. "They took our ships without killing us. They let us live." The chamber filled with fear. If even Reinach, the proudest of warriors, had been broken so quickly, what hope did anyone else have? Councillor Vera whispered the question that haunted every mind. Why spare them? Why not destroy? No one had an answer. The hologram changed once more, showing the human fleet advancing again, larger now as it dragged the disabled cruisers with it. The humans had turned their enemy's strength into proof of their dominance. High Speaker Arthur gripped his staff with trembling hands. "If they reach our capital, if they stand before us in this chamber, what then?" No one replied. The silence was heavier than steel. The humans had fired only once, but that was enough. The message was clear. They could not be stopped, and they were coming for the council. The chamber of the Galactic Council was silent. No one dared to speak after witnessing Admiral Reinach's proud fleet reduced to lifeless shells and boarded by human soldiers. Every councillor felt the same cold truth. Humanity was not fighting to destroy. They were fighting to prove that they could dominate without effort. High Speaker Arthur's hands trembled as he gripped his staff. "We must understand what they want. They have spared lives. This means there is purpose." Councillor Vera leaned forward, her silver eyes unblinking. "Purpose? They speak only of one thing, us. They do not seek planets, nor resources, nor slaves. They seek this council." The chamber's walls flickered as the hologram shifted again. The human flagship broadcast a new transmission. This time, the screen did not show warships or soldiers. Instead, it revealed a planet. Gasps filled the chamber. Blue oceans stretched wide, glowing beneath white clouds. Green continents shimmered with forests, and vast cities sparkled with light. A world alive, thriving, filled with energy and strength. It was Earth. Councillors froze, staring at the image. For thousands of years, Earth had been spoken of only in myths, in whispers buried deep in archives. Some claimed it had been destroyed in humanity's fall. Others said it had been abandoned, turned to ash. But now, the truth burned before their eyes. Councillor Threx hissed sharply. That world should not exist. The council declared it dead. Archivist Rel stepped forward, his frail voice shaking. The council declared what it wanted the galaxy to believe. The truth was hidden. Humanity was not destroyed. They retreated to their homeworld. They built in secret, far from our eyes. The High Speaker's voice cracked. "Built what?" The hologram answered. The camera pulled back, rising above Earth's orbit. What came into view silenced every voice in the chamber. Hundreds of warships, larger than cities, orbited Earth in perfect lines. Each ship bore weapons unlike any known design, massive cannons mounted on rotating spines, energy shields glowing like burning halos. Space stations surrounded the planet, ringed with lights and humming with power. At the far edge of the display, a single ship eclipsed them all. It was larger than moons, its hull stretching endlessly, a supercarrier beyond imagination. Earth was not only alive, Earth was fortified. Councillor Vera whispered, "They have built an empire in the shadows." Councillor Threx growled. "An empire stronger than ours." The chamber shook with disbelief. If humanity had remained hidden for centuries, building in silence, then every calculation of power in the galaxy was wrong. The Council was no longer supreme. Humanity was. Then the transmission changed again. This time, the image showed inside one of Earth's great cities. Towers of silver and glass pierced the sky. Soldiers marched in endless lines, their armor gleaming black beneath banners of blue and white. Docks stretched for kilometers, where ships the size of mountains waited to launch. A voice echoed across the chamber, calm but filled with iron. "We are not here to conquer. We are not here to enslave. We are here because the Council must answer for the past." Councillors shifted nervously. The voice continued. "When humanity rose, you feared us. When humanity reached out, you betrayed us. When humanity asked for peace, you turned on us. You tried to erase us. But you failed." The hologram faded, leaving the chamber in darkness. For a long moment, no one spoke. The air was thick with guilt, fear, and disbelief. Finally, Councillor Vera whispered, "They know everything. The betrayal, the lies, the erasure. They know." The High Speaker's golden skin seemed to pale. "And now they demand judgment." A new alert suddenly rang out. Another feed came in from deep space. The Council chamber gasped once more. From behind the main fleet, a massive human carrier emerged. Its hangars opened wide. Inside, endless ranks of soldiers stood in formation, armored and armed, ready to be unleashed. Councillor Threx slammed his clawed hand against the table. "This is no plea for peace. This is an ultimatum. They come for us. They come for revenge." Archivist Rel shook his head, his voice breaking. "No, they do not want revenge. They want to remind us that they were never gone, that they have returned, and the galaxy now belongs to them." The Council chamber's great doors, locked tight as guards, sealed the room. No one would leave until a decision was made. But before the High Speaker could speak, the chamber's walls lit up with a final message. A single sentence burned across the air, repeated in every tongue of the galaxy. "We are humanity, and we are waiting for the Council." The chamber fell into silence. Every leader felt the weight of the words pressing down like a storm. The decision could no longer be delayed. Humanity was no longer a myth. Humanity was here, and their eyes were fixed on the Council itself. The Galactic Council chamber felt like a cage of fear. The walls of crystal and light no longer seemed safe. Every councillor knew the human fleet was still advancing, and the next message could decide the fate of every world in the galaxy. High Speaker Arthur stood at the center platform, his staff glowing with weak light. His golden skin seemed dull now, and his voice carried a heavy weight. "The humans have called for us. We can no longer hide behind silence. We must answer." Councillor Vera's silver eyes never left the floating hologram of Earth. "Answer with what? Words they will not hear? Weapons that cannot break their shields?" Before anyone could reply, the chamber lights dimmed. A new transmission forced itself onto every screen. The human flagship filled the air in sharp detail. Its hull glowed with quiet power, weapons lined like dark teeth along its flanks. A human figure appeared. He wore a black uniform marked with silver stars. His face was pale, his eyes cold and clear. The Council chamber fell into breathless silence as his voice spread through the hall in every language. "I am Admiral Elias Kane of the Terran Defense Fleet," he said. "I speak for humanity." He paused, letting the words settle like a storm. "For centuries you told the galaxy that humanity was gone. You called us dangerous. You buried the truth of what you did. Now you will hear us." Councillors shifted uneasily. Even the proudest generals avoided the Admiral's steady gaze. "You feared our rise," Kane continued. "You plotted in secret. You betrayed every treaty we offered. You hunted our explorers. You poisoned our alliances. You tried to end us before we could grow." Archivist Rel bowed his head. His voice was barely a whisper. "It is true." Kane's eyes hardened. "You failed. We survived. We rebuilt. We forged a fleet greater than any the stars have ever seen. We came not to conquer but to judge." Councillor Threx slammed his claw on the table. "If you seek judgment, you will find war. We will not kneel." The Admiral did not raise his voice. "War is already yours to choose. But know this, your fleets cannot harm us. Your weapons cannot pierce our shields. We could erase this chamber with a single volley, yet we have not fired. That is our first gift." The chamber trembled in silence. Kane's calm words carried more power than any shouted threat. "Our second gift," he said, "is choice." He raised a hand, and the hologram shifted to show a second fleet emerging from deep space. Hundreds more human warships slipped into formation behind the first. Their engines glowed like a rising sun, spreading across the void until they filled the edges of the display. Gasps echoed through the chamber. "You will open the council for full assembly within one standard day," Kane declared. "You will answer for your crimes. You will face the record of betrayal, or you will face the consequences." Councillor Vera's voice shook. "What consequences?" Kane's eyes locked on hers. "If you refuse, the Terran fleet will place a judgment barrier around your capital world. No ship will enter. No ship will leave. Your systems will remain frozen until you accept truth. We will not destroy. We will not enslave. But you will bow to justice." The transmission flickered and cut, leaving only the silent image of the human fleets holding position like a wall of steel. The council chamber erupted into chaos. "This is madness," shouted Threx. "We must strike now before they close their trap." Councillor Vera stood slowly. "Strike with what?" Rinak's fleet was crushed without a single death. "They want us alive. Do you not see? Destruction is not their goal. They want us to admit our lies." High Speaker Arthur lowered his head. "If we attack, we die. If we yield, we live. But we lose the galaxy's faith." Archivist Rel stepped forward. "Perhaps the galaxy has already lost faith. Perhaps humanity is the truth we feared to face." The chamber doors opened suddenly. A messenger drone shot inside, lights flashing. "Report from the outer ring," the drone said in a metallic voice. "A new human ship has entered the system. Size unknown." The councillors turned back to the hologram. A fresh shadow stretched across the stars. The new ship dwarfed even the colossal flagship. Its silhouette blocked entire constellations as it drifted into view. Sensors struggled to measure its length. Admiral Sarek's voice cracked over the comm. "Council, this ship carries a power source beyond anything we have recorded. If it fires, the capital world will not survive." The High Speaker's staff slipped from his hand and clattered to the floor. No one moved. No one breathed. The new human supercarrier glided forward, silent and unstoppable, as if the galaxy itself bowed to its arrival. The messenger drone flickered with one last urgent update. "Human message incoming," it said. Every councillor turned toward the hologram as the screen flared white. The council chamber trembled as the human supercarrier moved into position. It was so vast that even the capital's defense grid dimmed beside it. Thousands of lights flickered along its hull, like the eyes of a silent giant, watching every motion inside the chamber. High Speaker Arthur gripped the edge of his podium. His voice shook as he spoke. "This is no warship. This is a symbol. Humanity wants us to see that we cannot match them." Councillor Threx slammed his clawed hand down. "Symbols do not matter. Only power matters. And this ship radiates power enough to end us all." Before more words could fly, the human transmission resumed. This time, the image was not Admiral Kane. It was the bridge of the supercarrier itself. Rows of officers stood at rigid attention, their black uniforms sharp, their faces calm. At the center stood a woman. Her presence filled the chamber even through the hologram. Her hair was dark, her eyes steady, and her voice was iron wrapped in fire. "I am Fleet Marshal Helena Drake," she said, "commander of the Ark-class carrier Eternal Resolve." This ship was not built for conquest. It was built to ensure no lie survives the light of truth. Her gaze swept across the councillors. "You poisoned the stars with stories of humanity's extinction. You painted us as monsters to unite others in fear. Now the fear you created has come back to you." Councillor Vera's silver eyes narrowed. "And what do you demand of us, Marshal?" Drake's reply was cold and clear. "Confession. A full record of your betrayal. The galaxy will hear it from your own voices. The age of secrets is finished." The chamber fell into whispers. Some begged for compliance. Others hissed for defiance. Then a shadow moved at the chamber's edge. It was Archivist Rel, carrying a data rod glowing with faint blue light. His wrinkled hands shook as he lifted it. "I have proof," Rel said. "For centuries, I kept the Council's hidden records. I preserved them in secret. The humans know because I sent fragments to their explorers long ago. The truth is already out there. Now it waits to be spoken." The chamber froze. All eyes turned to the old archivist. "You traitor!" Threx snarled. "You doomed us." Rel's gaze was steady. "No, I saved us. Humanity did not return to slaughter us. They returned to remind us of what we buried. The galaxy deserves truth, even if it shatters us." Before the Council could respond, alarms blared through the chamber. Red lights flashed. A voice from the defense grid shouted over the comm. Unknown vessels emerging from hyperspace. Not human, not Council. Identity unknown. The hologram shifted again. Strange ships ripped into real space like shadows given form. Their hulls were jagged, their engines burned with sickly green fire. The chamber filled with gasps. High Speaker Arthur whispered, "Not them. Not after all this time." Admiral Sarek's voice barked through the speakers. "These ships are classified. They should not exist. They were destroyed generations ago." Fleet Marshal Drake's hologram cut in. Her tone sharpened. "Who are they?" No one answered. Until finally Rel spoke again. His voice was heavy with regret. "The true enemy. The ones the Council feared above all else. We called them the Zorathi." Councillor Vera's voice trembled. "But we told the galaxy the humans were the danger." "Yes," Rel said, "because we could not admit the Zorathi survived." On the hologram, the Zorathi fleet spread its wings across the stars. Their warships were not many, but they pulsed with strange energy that made the Council's defenses flicker. The chamber filled with fear. Marshal Drake's voice sliced through it like a blade. "Council, decide quickly. We will not fight two wars at once. Stand with humanity now, or be swept aside when the Zorathi strike." The councillors shouted at one another, their voices clashing like weapons. Some demanded alliance. Others demanded defense of pride. Suddenly, the chamber's crystal walls shook as the first Zorathi volley hit the capital's outer defenses. A shockwave rattled through the city. Flames lit the horizon. Alarms wailed. Sirens screamed. Admiral Sarek shouted, "Shields failing on the eastern defense ring. They're tearing us apart." The councillors turned back to the human hologram. The eternal resolve glowed in orbit, its weapons silent but waiting. The marshal's eyes burned with command. "Say the word," she said. "Confess your lies and join us, and humanity will unleash its fleet to shield your world. Stay silent, and you will watch your capital burn." High Speaker Arthur's voice broke. We must..." Another blast struck the city. Buildings toppled. The chamber shook so violently that councillors fell from their seats. Outside, the human fleets held steady, watching, waiting for the council's choice. The hologram of Fleet Marshal Drake sharpened to a single question. "Council," she said, her voice like thunder, "are you ready to stand with humanity or fall with your lies?" The chamber went dark as another strike hit. The chamber shook as another Zorathi blast slammed into the capital's shields. Entire districts of the city below were burning, flames rising like rivers of fire into the night sky. Council guards rushed through the chamber doors, shouting reports of collapsing defenses and streets filled with panic. High Speaker Arthur clutched his broken staff and cried out, "The city will not hold! If we do not act now, our people will perish." The hologram of Fleet Marshal Helena Drake burned bright in the chamber. She stood like a statue of steel, her voice calm but cutting. "Then speak the truth. Declare it before your people, before the galaxy. Only then will humanity unleash its fleet to defend you." Councillor Threx snarled, his voice desperate. "You ask us to betray our honor, to kneel before those we once swore to control." Archivist Rel stepped forward, his blue data rod glowing in his trembling hands. "No, Threx, to confess is not betrayal. To confess is to free ourselves from lies that have chained us for centuries." The chamber's floor rumbled again as the Zorathi fired another volley. Massive cracks ran through the crystal pillars. Sparks rained from broken lights. Councillors screamed as the ceiling groaned. Outside the chamber's tall windows, the Zorathi fleet pressed closer. Their jagged ships moved in eerie silence, glowing with green fire that twisted the air around them. Defense ring collapsing. Admiral Serek's voice bellowed over the comm. "They will breach the capital's core within minutes." Councillor Vera turned to the high speaker. Her silver eyes burned with urgency. "Arthur, there is no more time. Speak now, or the galaxy dies with us." Arthur's face was pale with fear. His golden skin shimmered faintly as he rose to his full height. The broken staff in his hands shook, but his voice grew steady. "Councillors," he said, "people of the galaxy, for too long we told you that humanity was gone. We told you they were monsters. We told you they could never rise again. All of it was a lie." Gasps filled the chamber. Some councillors tried to shout him down, but his words rolled like thunder, carried on the emergency broadcast that had already begun. "We feared humanity's strength," Arthur continued. "We feared their spirit. We feared that they would not bow to our order. So we betrayed them. We hunted their explorers. We silenced their voices. We chose lies over truth. And now the truth has returned to us with fire at our gates." The chamber's central crystal pulsed. The confession was being transmitted across the entire galaxy. Billions were hearing it at that very moment. Fleet Marshal Drake's hologram remained silent, her eyes fixed on the speaker. "And so," Arthur said, his voice breaking, "I confess. Humanity was never the enemy. We were. We were the liars, the deceivers, the ones who poisoned trust. And now we beg forgiveness, not only from humanity, but from every world we led into falsehood." The chamber shook violently as another blast struck. A great shard of crystal fell from above, smashing the council floor. Councillors scattered, some crying, some silent. Drake's voice finally rang out. "Transmission received. The truth is spoken. The pact is sealed." She raised her hand. On the hologram, the colossal eternal resolve came alive. Its engines flared brighter, its hull pulsed with energy. Across the orbit, the entire Terran fleet shifted into attack formation. Thousands of warships aimed their weapons toward the jagged Zorathi fleet. For the first time, humanity moved. A storm of fire erupted. Human rail cannons fired lines of blazing light, tearing through Zorathi shields. Torpedoes streaked across the void, detonating with white fury. Human fighters swarmed like a rising tide, striking the enemy ships with merciless precision. The council chamber's windows lit up as the battle painted the sky. The Zorathi screamed in alien static as their ships cracked apart. Yet still, they pressed forward, sacrificing their own to push deeper toward the capital. Councillor Threx shouted, "Even with humanity's fire, they advance. They will not stop." Archivist Rel looked toward the hologram of Marshal Drake. "You knew this would happen. You knew the truth was not enough." Drake's eyes narrowed. "The truth is the weapon, but there is one strike yet to deliver." Her gaze shifted to Admiral Kane, who appeared beside her on the hologram. His face was grim, his voice like a hammer. "The Zorathi are not just invaders. They are parasites. They feed on the energy of stars. If they anchor to your world's core, your capital will be drained until nothing remains." A fresh wave of fear swept the chamber. "What must be done?" Arthur asked, his voice hoarse. Kane looked directly into the council chamber, his words falling like stone. "We must use the Ark Protocol. But understand this, it will not only destroy the Zorathi fleet. It may shatter your capital's orbit, tearing the city into fire." The chamber erupted in shock. "You would sacrifice our world." Threx roared, Drake's voice cut across his. "Or your world dies anyway, drained into ash. The choice is yours. We will not act without your command." Outside, the battle raged. Human fleets and Zorathi ships clashed in waves of fire. But the largest Zorathi vessel, a monstrous spiked behemoth, was descending straight toward the capital. Its core pulsed like a sick heart, drawing power from the planet below. The floor shook violently. Alarms wailed. Fleet Marshal Drake's hologram sharpened. "Council, decide. Ark Protocol, yes or no?" The chamber went black as the power grid failed. Only the image of the descending Zorathi behemoth remained, glowing green against the night sky. The capital trembled under the shadow of the Zorathi behemoth. Its jagged hull blotted out the stars as it descended, a pulsing green core drawing energy from the planet itself. Entire districts fell dark as power drained upward, like rivers of light, feeding the monster above. High Speaker Arthur clung to the broken podium. His voice was nearly drowned by alarms. "If it anchors to the core, our world is finished." The chamber shook again as Zorathi fire ripped through the last defense towers. In the skies above, humanity's fleets fought like wolves against the storm. The eternal resolve loomed at the center, its guns blazing in endless rhythm. Fleet Marshal Helena Drake's hologram lit the chamber, her voice steady as a blade. "Council, one choice remains. Arc Protocol. Authorize it and humanity will strike. Refuse, and your world is drained into ash." Councillor Threx bared his fangs. "The Arc Protocol will destroy us as well. You would turn this city into a graveyard." Archivist Rel raised his trembling hand. "Better a graveyard of truth than a living lie." The words silenced the chamber. For the first time, Threx's eyes fell. Arthur straightened, his staff shattered, but his voice strong. "Marshal Drake, on behalf of this council, I give you our answer. Do it. Save what remains of this galaxy, even if we fall." Drake's eyes hardened. She gave a single nod. "Admiral Kane, initiate Arc Protocol." The hologram flickered as Kane's voice rang across every fleet. "All ships, prepare. Arc charge begins. Stand by for final strike." In orbit, the Eternal Resolve shifted position. Massive panels unfolded across its hull, glowing with searing light. Energy surged along its spine like a rising sun, brighter and brighter until it bathed the planet in white fire. The Zorathi behemoth roared in alien static, sensing the coming storm. Its green core flared, pulling harder on the capital's lifeblood. Buildings crumbled as energy streams tore through the city into the sky. 30 seconds to charge," Kane's voice thundered. The council chamber shook violently. Crystals fell. Flames burst through the lower levels. Councillors clung to shattered pillars, their faces lit by the burning skies. Arthur whispered, "Let this be our penance." The fleets pressed their last stand. Human warships formed a barrier around the Eternal Resolve, intercepting Zorathi fire with their own bodies. Ships burst apart in fire, but the carrier's charge held steady. 15 seconds, Kane announced. On the planet below, people looked up from streets filled with fire and ruin. Children, soldiers, refugees all turned their eyes skyward, watching the human carrier blaze like a second sun. 10 seconds. The Zorathi behemoth fired everything it had. Green lances struck the Eternal Resolve's shields, but they held, glowing brighter with every impact. 9, 8, Drake's voice filled the comms. "This strike is for every world betrayed, for every truth buried, for every child of Earth who carried hope into the dark. Humanity stands." 7-6 Councillor Vera clasped Rel's frail hand. "If this is the end, at least the galaxy knows the truth." 5-4. The behemoth's core reached full power. The planet cracked beneath it, rivers of magma boiling to the surface. 3-2, Admiral Kane's voice dropped to a whisper. 1. A silent flash consumed the sky. The Arc Protocol fired. A colossal beam of white fire erupted from the Eternal Resolve, wider than mountains, brighter than suns. It tore through the void like judgment itself, striking the Zorathi behemoth square in its pulsing heart. The monster screamed in a voice that shook space itself. Its hull split, its core imploded, and the green energy it had stolen burst outward in a tidal wave. The capital rocked as shockwaves ripped across the atmosphere. Towers crumbled, oceans boiled. The night sky burned with streaks of falling fire, then silence. When the light faded, the behemoth was gone. Only broken shards of its black hull drifted, glowing like dying embers. The council chamber lay in ruins. Smoke filled the air. Councillors stumbled from the wreckage, their faces lit by the dim glow of survival. Above, the Eternal Resolve still shone, battered but unbroken. The human fleet stood in formation, scarred but victorious. Drake's hologram returned, her uniform torn, her face marked with soot. But her eyes carried triumph. "Council," she said, her voice quiet but unyielding. "The truth has been spoken. The Xerathi are defeated for now. Humanity has returned, not as conquerors, but as guardians of the stars. Remember this day, the last dawn of lies and the first dawn of truth." High Speaker Arthur bowed his head. "Then let this galaxy be rebuilt on truth. And let humanity stand among us, not in chains, but in honor." For the first time in generations, the council chamber echoed not with fear, but with silence filled by hope. Above the burning skies, the Terran fleet spread its wings across the stars. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same again.